My phone buzzed halfway through the second act of the school play. A text appeared from an unknown number. Do not react. Walk out now. At first, I assumed it was some kind of joke. But then I glanced toward the stage, lit by a warm yellow spotlight. My daughter stood completely still. Her classmates were still singing, smiling, swaying with the music. She wasn't. She held up a small sign, angled so only I could see. Pretend everything's fine. My heartbeat didn't race, it slowed. Like my body recognized a danger that my mind hadn't caught up to yet. She looked over my head, toward the back of the auditorium. 3 rows behind me, a man stood up deliberately. Then I heard the metal latch on the double doors click from the outside, lock shut. Parents continued applauding, children kept dancing, but the music faded in my ears. Slowly, I rose to my feet, terrified that even a sudden movement might trigger something irreversible. My daughter's eyes locked onto mine for one steady, pleading second. Her lips shaped a single word, Mom. And everything inside me went silent. It began 2 weeks earlier, small changes, barely noticeable. My wife started whispering during phone calls, stepping into the hallway when she thought I wasn't paying attention. She changed her phone passcode, rearranged errands, and wore perfume on ordinary grocery trips. I brushed it off, even joked to a coworker. She's probably planning a surprise. But laughter hides things better than lies. 3 nights before the performance, I woke up to the vibration of her phone under the pillow. Half asleep, I reached for it, freezing at the message preview. We can't meet here again. He's starting to suspect. The contact name was just one letter. M. I didn't tap it. I didn't move. I simply stared at her breathing, slow, calm, rehearsed. The next morning, I made pancakes, kissed her cheek, and started paying attention. I checked her call logs and location history. Harmless at first until it wasn't. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she vanished for 2 hours after dropping off our daughter. Her phone location simply said, no signal. Always near the industrial park. One morning, I went there and watched. At 10:42, her car rolled up next to a black sedan. A man stepped out, broad shoulders, gray jacket. They didn't touch. They spoke quietly, cautiously, like people who had arranged this many times before. When she drove home, I followed. She never noticed. That night, she claimed she was helping a friend. I nodded and pretended to believe, but I called someone too, a private investigator who had worked a corporate case for me. I gave him her plate number. The next day, photos arrived. The man was Michael Lang, a former security contractor, dishonorably discharged, with several sealed records. Then another picture. My wife and Michael outside a warehouse. He held a child's backpack. My daughter's. My hands trembled, not from panic, but from certainty. 2 days later, the investigator called, voice tight. You should sit down. Michael wasn't her lover. He was her handler. My wife had been collecting data from my consulting firm, secretly feeding it to a forensics group involved in financial laundering through my credentials. I was the liability. She was the insurance. Then he said something that chilled me to the bone. They might use leverage. Leverage meant my daughter. That night, I sat in the living room with a gun across my lap and my phone in hand, watching the door, waiting for something nameless. So when the text came during the school play, I already knew. It wasn't from the woman I married. It was from the person she became while planning my destruction. The lights went out. Gasps spread through the room. Nervous murmurs. The emergency exit sign flickered red. I stayed still and watched the man 3 rows back shift his stance, hand slipping toward his jacket. I recognized the silhouette of a weapon. My phone buzzed again. Go to the right exit. Quietly, I slipped away as teachers tried calming the crowd. The right door opened easily. She stood there waiting, my wife, eyes hollow. You planned this, I whispered. Her lips shook. They were supposed to take you. Not her. Behind her, Michael stepped into view. Up close, he looked less like a human being and more like a consequence. I warned you to cooperate, he said. I smiled faintly. I did. I pressed play on my phone. His voice. Her confessions. Every recorded call from the past month. My investigator had forwarded everything to the FBI that very morning. It was already uploaded, timestamped, and distributed. Both of them froze. "You think you control me," I said quietly, "but you only taught me how you operate." For the first time, fear flashed in Michael's eyes, real fear. I walked past them toward approaching sirens. News outlets called it a school security incident. They never printed the truth. They didn't need to. My wife's trial began 6 months later. She never looked at me. I sat in the back as they listed every charge. Wire fraud, conspiracy, endangerment. When the verdict was read, she finally turned. Her face broke, not with anger or sadness, but with the realization that I had known all along. Now I live somewhere smaller, quiet, honest. My daughter sleeps through the night again. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see that stage, her tiny fingers gripping that sign, her brave, steady eyes. I once thought betrayal was the worst pain a person could feel. It's not. Real pain is the moment you stop feeling anything at all. That's when you finally win. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.